What's up, guys? We're back for episode 8, season 2, episode 1. I have the lovely Morgan Rogers. She's here. Where's my pen? I don't have my pen. Morgan is here. We're going to talk about the importance of accountability. I'm so glad to sit down, have this conversation with her. We're getting ready to get the YouTube channel up, get some more apparel for you guys, so be on the lookout for that. We have a website, allnatsmatter.com. Nice. So I'm taking strides and steps. But just tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do, and all those exciting things. I can find my pen. Here it is.
Okay.
You can go.
My name is Morgan Rogers, like you said. I'm a criminal defense attorney here in Houston. I represent people accused of misdemeanors and felonies in Harris County and the surrounding counties.
Uh-huh.
I am married to a pastor, I guess you could say.
Yeah, he's a minister.
Mm-hmm.
Great guy.
Yes.
He was on episode 2, guys. This is his wife.
Check it out.
Just to let y'all know, getting the whole household. Gonna get the dog and the son now.
Oh, gosh. I have a 10-year-old son. He's about to be 11, going into 5th grade.
Teenager.
Yep. And that's kind of my life right now.
Mm-hmm. So it's a guy walking out. Okay, well, that's good. How long have you been a lawyer? I think I've asked you this before, but I keep forgetting.
5 years. I graduated from law school in 2012.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. And you're originally from?
West Virginia.
West Virginia. So what school did you go to?
Here.
Did you go to school here or back?
So I went to undergrad. So for law school, you do like a 4-year undergrad in whatever subject you want. You don't have to study law or anything. And then you apply to law school, and it's a 3-year deal to go to law school. So I went to WVU in West Virginia. They're
West
now
Virginia? The big football school?
Here now. Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yep, and then moved down here in 2009 with Jaden, my son, when he was 2.
Okay.
And started law school.
Oh, where at?
South Texas, downtown. South Texas College of Law.
Never heard of them, and I'm from Texas. Okay, so you were born and raised in West Virginia?
Yes.
What city?
Charleston, West Virginia.
Charleston, West Virginia.
It's the capital.
So it's is it big in West? I've never been to West Virginia. I've been to Newport Beach in Virginia, but my aunt was stationed there, so that's the only reason I've been in Virginia.
But I've never been to.
But I've never been.
West Virginia is very mountainous. It's known for outdoorsy stuff. It is country. Charleston's more city. Because it's the capital. But it is still, I think the population is only 100,000, 200,000, something like that. So it's not that many people. No.
So it's more family orientated, like everybody knows.
Pretty much, yeah. There are only 2 high schools.
Okay, that's small.
Yeah, it's small.
That's
but everybody knew everyone. So it wasn't I don't know, it wasn't the rich kids didn't hang out with. I knew the doctors. I knew everybody. Everybody hung out with each other. Yeah.
So everybody knows your business, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
If you do something embarrassing, somebody
will know. Yeah.
And somebody in your family will know because.
Probably. Yes.
Okay. All right. So what prompted you to move?
Law school.
If you don't mind talking.
Yeah. No. So I was applying to law schools. I felt like God told me to go to law school, which is not something that I ever really wanted to do.
That's usually the plan.
Yeah. Yeah. When you don't want to do something and God tells you to do that, that's probably God.
God
it's
telling me.
Yeah.
I didn't plan to be a barber. It just happened.
Oh no.
No.
So what? You heard the voice, or you?
No, my mom was my I guess what Samuel had. He had forgot the guy's name, but he had an overseer.
Yes.
That taught him how to listen to God's voice.
Yes.
Same thing, my mom.
Uh-huh.
I had a full ride to Southern University. I was gonna play in the band because I've been drumming since I was 6. But senior year, getting ready to do my audition at Southern, had a cousin that was going there. She was like, "Yeah, go to Southern. You'll love it. It's fun, extravagant. You'll party your life away." And I was like, "Yeah, sure, let's go party." And my mom was like, no, go to barber college. Go get your barber's license. And I was like, Mama, what?
Yeah.
You crazy? And so, yeah. But back to you. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
But,
yeah, so I felt like God was telling me to go to law school. Mm-hmm. I was kind of like mid-semesters when I was applying to go to law school. Yeah. Law school is, you have to take this LSAT exam in order, you have to score a certain amount in order to get into the schools. Oh. And South Texas was they had a spring start rather than a fall start. Most schools don't. Yeah. They only have a fall start. And so I had come to Texas. I wanted to do criminal defense. I really wanted to do death penalty work, and Texas kills the most people.
They
executes
really
the most people.
Old Testament, hell, brimstone.
Right. So I was like, oh, well, if I want to do death penalty work, I should go down to Texas. And so that's kind of what led me here. And now I'm here forever.
Wow. Okay. And you and Anthony met at church?
Yes. We met at church. We've only been married for 3 years, so about 4 years ago, I think we met.
Oh, you dated for a year?
Yeah, we dated for a year, got engaged and all that in the year, and got married. It was relatively quick.
Yeah, that happens. Me and my wife the same way.
Uh-huh.
But, the only difference was me and my wife we've known each other since we were kids.
Oh, that's
through
awesome.
A mutual friend. But I was friend zoned for like 12 years. And it just kind of worked its way out. Some things were transitioning.
Yeah.
And I just asked her one day, I said, hey, you want to be my girlfriend? She was like, yeah, sure.
What?
Yeah. But it's from years of knowing each other, so I didn't have to be extravagant. But I think 7 or 8 months into dating, we found out we were going to have a baby. Because we were dancing out of wedlock. You know that.
Dancing.
And yeah, I was like, well, I guess it's time to go ahead and make that move. Mm-hmm. Bought a ring, proposed a month later, got married 4 months after that.
What?
So I think in the span of a year and a half, we went from dating, courting, pre-parenthood, married.
That's a lot.
Newlyweds, parents, and we're still in that that honeymoon phase. But yeah, that was us, the same thing.
How long have y'all been married?
We made a year in July, so it's a year and 1 month.
Wow.
Yep. We've gotten through
the first year.
Yeah.
Would you say it was hard?
Oh yeah, it was a boxing match.
Really?
People.
Why do you think that was? Because y'all were just trying to like live in the same space and get to know each other like on a deeper level like that?
It was the meshing of habits and attitudes and mentalities. And of course your spouse exposes the bad things that are in you. And if you're the prideful person like me, I didn't want to hear that. So my definition of what being a husband was totally different of what it actually is. And so it was a lot of bumping heads. And my wife, she's outspoken to the people she's closest to.
Yes.
We're super close. So she's super outspoken. She's quick to tell me like, hey, get your together. For real. So, and that's what I need because my mom was the same way.
Yeah.
And that was kind of.
Is that a problem though? Like,
no,
with y'all's situation? Like, do you ever feel like. So, Anthony and I'm very much like his mom.
Yeah.
But it's a problem because of that. So, it's like, I am acting more like a mom.
No, that's the role that the woman becomes. Because you're the facilitator. You set the tone. Mm-hmm. The man is the protector, spiritual head. Mm-hmm. The woman is the person that's able to make everything run without a hitch. And so, and I mean, just me, because I'm learning that my pride is going to kill my relationship.
Yeah.
It's just pride for me. And I was sitting in the car, my wife was going through the weekly things I needed to do on Sunday. I'm just driving, eating my seeds, and I'm like, this woman is forever. She's like my mom. And I'm okay with that.
Okay,
but I mean, at times I used to get angered, but I remembered me and my wife kind of knew when my mom passed. Like, we were meant to be together. God was orchestrating that way. And I tell the story to everybody, but my mom had just called her. We just pulled her off the machine. I'm outside crying my eyes out. I'm like, okay, God, I said I was going to give my all, because the night before, me and my mom talked, and everything started to make sense. I was like, my mom did so much to sacrifice for me and my siblings. Yeah. The least I can do is get my butt up and be something for the sake of what my mom did. And in all of that realization, she was transitioning to heaven.
Oh, wow.
And it happened rapidly. So I was heartbroken. And I'm crying my eyes. I'm like, God, who's going to be the woman to anchor me? Who am I going to have now? And as soon as I said that, my wife walked up to me and said, hey, I'm here. And he said, there you go.
I'm going to cry.
So, yeah, that was, and I mean, it's a beautiful thing now because, it's anchored a lot. But I'm not trying to make you cry.
That's
sorry.
So beautiful.
But, yeah, that was it for us. And so I don't get antsy or ticked off when she's being mothered because that's her job. She's my helper.
That makes sense,
mom
though. You need to tell Anthony that.
I mean, it's a guy thing. Every guy learns on his own, and God will tell him because he's in the Word, so I don't have to say anything. But no, I've gotten enraged, and that's why the first year was like, I'm like, oh, she's being my mom. Mm-hmm. Especially around my family. Like, I'll do something to say something. She like, you don't do that. Stop lying. You're always lying. You're always extravagating stuff. Mm-hmm. And they're just snickering because my mom would do the same thing. But, I'm growing to love it. Sometimes it's still like, I want to go Super Saiyan. Mm-hmm. But I grit my teeth and keep my mouth closed because I know she's my helper.
Yeah.
And God has already told me, He said, if you want your life to be abundant and bloom into something beautiful that I've already gifted you, take your vision to your wife because she should help.
Oh, wow.
And He said, your life won't grow until you go consult her. Simple as that. And it's not that she's the better counterpart, it's just that that's how
your relationship works.
That's how a relationship works. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it takes a lot of prayer and just keep your mouth closed. But it's a beautiful thing. But back to you. South Texas Law School.
Yes. Graduated in 2009 at first, or in 2012. Started in 2009. And
I was a junior in 2009. I was a junior in high school. Yeah.
What? I'm old.
I look old, but I'm really young.
You are, yeah. Well, when I first left, I thought, because the whole time I was in law school, I thought that I was going to practice criminal defense, but I ended up going to a large law firm for 4 years. Mm-hmm. For 4 years, because I was just me and Jaden, and I didn't know how to run a business. And most people, when you practice criminal defense, you have to start your own business. There aren't just firms out there. It's usually just solo, one person that does criminal defense. So I was like, I don't know how to run a business. I have this little child that's about to start kindergarten. I need insurance. I don't have any of these things. We're on CHIP. I need benefits.
You broke with a vision and a dream.
Yeah. So then so instead of doing what I felt called to do, I went to this large law firm and was there for several years, kind of just building, I think growing in general, growing as an attorney, growing as a person, and then growing financially. Yep. And then I finally had the guts to leave last year.
Oh, okay. And how was that? It's
still been a very difficult year financially. And Anthony is in ministry, so we're not balling or anything. So his income now is he's the breadwinner. Yeah. And so for the first several months, it was very difficult having to rely just on his income. But now it's getting Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I believe same thing for me and my wife. She was working a little bit, but she just graduated in May. But I had enough. I was working at the school and cutting hair, so I had enough to balance us. And so when God was telling me to step back from the school and just do this, it was like a blow. I was like, man, what the heck is going on? But I was talking to my mentor. I was telling him I'm starting to realize that sometimes Well, with me, God is teaching me how to obtain His characteristics.
Yeah.
And once I obtain His characteristics, then He'll send the access that I need to move like I want to. But I need to make sure that my focus is Him. So when the other stuff comes, the monetary stuff, I can move like that. So
yeah. Well, I think anytime you follow what, I mean, I knew God was calling me out of that place.
Yeah.
And so I had to just trust, like, you're gonna have to take care of it, because I don't know what I'm doing.
I'm broke.
You're gonna have to provide. And literally within the first month, like, I got several cases, like, immediately.
Yeah.
And we were able to sustain ourselves. Yep. And even just having the previous job, I was able to save a lot. Yep. And
but I got comfortable. I was like, man, this is life. This is lavish.
I hated it though.
So yeah, but the same thing. I saw the glimpse and the impact that I was supposed to have, but the overall just bubble community was toxic for me.
Yeah.
And
well, I feel like for you though, you actually had a place where you were impacting people's lives.
Because I understood it was my purpose, and that was my season. So I could go all for it, no matter what the chaos was, because God told me this is your purpose and this is your season. So I was like, I'm gonna run with it. And every time I get out and I'm planting seeds, I'm being a sower. I'm gonna do it to the best of my abilities, because I know He's gonna judge me for that one.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I felt like though when
I was miserable.
Really?
Yes, I was Noah after the ark, like getting drunk on wine. No lie. My wife was like, "You need to leave." She told me 2 years before we got together. She said, "You need to leave."
Yeah.
And I was like,
I think too. Do you think you stayed in that season too long?
I did stay in that season too long.
Yeah. And I think that's the same for me. I was there for a purpose, of course. I knew that I had a purpose there, but I felt like my purpose had been fulfilled, and I still was like dragging my feet, trying to leave, going to leave. Yeah. I felt like I didn't have the skills to leave. Yeah. I felt like
you kept creating reasons why. I'll just stick it out one more winter. Yeah, the same for me. And just glad that you're talking about you took that leap of faith. I just texted some of my buddies and I was like, hey, I want to go skydiving. I'm a big scaredy cat. Ooh. I hate heights. But the reason why I want to go skydiving is to teach myself that if I can spiritually just jump out of a plane and trust that God will catch me,
when are you going?
I'm all for it. I don't know. I've asked God. I said, okay, God, I want to do this. To teach myself. Yeah. Because my thing is, I have daughters. I have one now who's about to be one. And then I got another one that's about to pop out in like 2 months after that.
What?
Yeah, we got another girl. Anthony didn't tell you?
No.
But, he's all EP and album.
Yeah.
So, yeah. No. But, yeah, so we have another girl on the way. My daughter's name is Janae. And then the other girl, her name will be Jada. I'll give you the baby shower information so you can come. But, so I want to be able to teach my daughters that you got to really just rely on God, because so many women put their rely and trust in relationships and finding a man to make them stable, and then you build from that. Yeah. I don't want that for my daughters. So outside of teaching them, I want them to know that if you really just throw yourself into trusting God, move yourself to a position that everything you do is out of your control. Yeah. Your life, that's when your life starts to become a blessing. Yeah. Because you can't control what's around you. And He's done it before, and that's your ticket. That's your golden ticket. Nothing else. Ooh. So I want to do that.
So you're gonna really jump out of the
I'm really gonna do it, even though
you're gonna be so scared.
My nerve fibers are saying.
You've been in planes before.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course.
So it wouldn't be like first time flying and first time.
No. It's just the first time I'm really
jumping out,
doing something that I have no control of. Ooh. That I am so fearful of. But I believe, because the word says God didn't give us the spirit of fear. Right. So I'm no longer operating in fear. But yeah, that was my thing. But okay, that's great. We're getting ready. We got 20 minutes in, which is good. So accountability. Right. Let's talk about that. What is like, and it's so crazy we're talking about accountability because you're a lawyer, so you know the old saying, lawyers lie.
I know. Well, and I thought too, it was funny that I'd be talking about accountability on the criminal defense side.
Yeah, or you can just talk about it in your own second realm. You don't have to talk about it specifically. You know,
in work.
In work.
Well, in work.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think about how.
But what does accountability mean to you? Let's start right there.
I mean, I guess just textbook definition. I don't even really know how do you define and having people around you that can ensure that you are doing the things that you say that you should be doing.
Okay.
In work I hold the prosecution accountable to what they're saying. I don't so much hold my clients accountable all the time. Because I feel like my role is more to just kind of hear the person out and to tell their story for them. Yeah. It's the prosecution's job to prove their case against my client and quote unquote hold them accountable to whatever it is that they believe the evidence shows.
Yeah, okay.
I then am trying to hold the prosecution accountable to what they say they can prove.
Yeah.
So I don't so much, it's not my job to judge my clients. It's my job to listen to them and to tell their story.
Tell their side. You're the legal voice.
Correct.
Is it intense being in a courtroom?
Yes, it's terrifying.
It's very intense.
Which is one of the reasons why I tried not to leave for so long.
Yeah.
My cushy in-house job, because I didn't have to go to court. I didn't have to speak in front of large groups of people. No. I just dealt with the attorneys. I advised the attorneys within the law firm, so it was more like one-on-one type.
So
I was terrified to leave and have to be out in front.
That's me. I'm behind the scenes.
I don't like being out in front.
Me either.
But I feel like that's the reason why we're probably called to be out in front, because we're not going to take. We don't want this. We don't want the shine. We're not taking it for the sake of ourselves.
Yeah.
We're literally out in front because.
God, you better tell me what to say and do because.
Yes. Because I can't.
I'm not gonna talk to anybody. I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do and go.
Yeah,
that's me.
Same.
So, that's me. I guess that makes sense. I'm trying to formulate a thought, but I lost it, so I'm gonna just keep talking.
Okay.
But I mean, I'm the same way. Like with this was my airplane.
Yeah.
I know that this is important, talking about purpose and all the things that it entails, and just getting away from the umbrella of tradition, because the umbrella of tradition doesn't teach sincerity and just the aspects of having a relationship with God.
So when you say traditions, so when you said that, I immediately thought of because we're talking about purpose and passion, I immediately thought of traditionally we're supposed to go to school and pick a certain job and stick with that job forever.
Retire in 40 years and then.
And I'm I just don't feel like I can commit to one passion forever. I feel like I'm much more
the development of talents, because you've given that one talent to God and served it.
Yes.
In wholeheartedness. It's the same with me. I never planned to teach. I never planned to cut hair. I planned to be Michael Jackson's drummer, but he died in 2007.
Yeah.
And I was
is that my phone?
Yeah, it is.
Do you want me to show you that?
I mean, it's recording, so you can just kind of mute it. It's fine.
You want me to right now?
Yeah, that's good. But that was my plan and goal, to be Michael's drummer.
His drummer.
That was it. Nothing else, nothing less. And God let me practice my talent of being a drummer. He never stopped me. I went to school.
Well, I'm sure you'll use it.
Yeah, I think later on. Yeah. And I'm seeing my daughter is musically inclined.
Wow.
So that's going to be amazing. I'll be able to teach her what I know. And still kind of cultivate my musicianship. But
well, I feel like when we feel that tug of maybe I'm not supposed to stay in this place, sometimes we think did I make a mistake in choosing this place in the first?
Yeah.
But which I don't think is true, because I think it is, like you were saying, a season.
It's seasonal.
Yeah.
But in every season, like I'm pretty sure you were gonna say, you start developing some characteristics that ultimately tie into your God-given purpose.
Yes.
But it's just
and we're just developing along in different seasons of our lives. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna stay in this season forever. Mm-hmm. I don't see myself as these, like criminal defense attorneys that have been doing that exact same thing in and out of the same courtrooms for 40 years. I just don't see myself.
But this is just a piece that's adding on.
Right.
Yeah, I understand. I feel like I'll still be a barber. I think I'll be a teacher for 15 years. God told me I'll be in the education department for 15 years, but I think ultimately I'll be a principal.
Wow, yeah.
So I think I'll have 5 years of teaching and 10 years of being a principal, just to kind of be in a position to really plant impactful seeds, because that's my only goal. That's the only reason why I jumped into it. Mm-hmm. But like I said, I was planning to be a drummer. I started cutting hair. I hated it the first year and a half, 2.
Really?
Because my focus and fixation was on the wrong things and wrong people. And so I had ungodly counsel, and that just really just kind of clashed with my purpose and plan in that season.
That kind of ties back into
accountability. So then I said, it was July 4th. We were in here. I said, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm really going to trust God that this is my season in life, and this is what I'm supposed to do, and I'm gonna give it my all. This is what I'm gonna do, nothing else. And I get a call from my best friend, who's actually the mutual friend for my wife.
Okay.
That's my wife's godbrother and her best friend. He's the reason why we met, because we met at his 12th birthday party.
Oh.
And so but him. So Rodney called me. It's like, hey man, it's a teaching job over at the school. You should check it out. It's like, man, I don't want to teach. No, I don't want to teach music. I just want to cut hair. Well, get home, my mom said, did you talk to Rodney? I was like, yeah, Mom, I told her I don't want to do that mess. And she's like, you don't even know when God is blessing you. It's like, what? She's like, go fill out the application and watch you work out. So that's how I got into teaching. And then that's how I moved from the school down here to over, where I was till I left. And God just showed me in that time. He said, this is where you're going to be for a while to impact some people. It's going to really spark some change. So you got to accept that and then serve it in the best of your abilities.
Yeah.
But, I felt like in those seasons, it really moved me to being like the forefront, because the play was a joke. That was
I definitely felt like
Yeah.
you were more than a music teacher.
Yeah. So, the roles were different. I was a music teacher at my first campus.
Okay.
At my second campus, I moved to being like a pushed-in teacher's aide.
Okay.
But then it got to the point
you were like
where
administrative, though.
No, I was not administrative.
It seemed like you were.
I was, and that's how God was just showing me, like, the behind the scenes. Like, okay, this is how administration works.
Yeah.
These are the things I'm going to move you into. So I'm trying to teach you, because I was doing everything.
Yeah.
I was from the janitorial to the librarian to insulary to, I was by my second, because I was there 3 years. By my second, third year, I had touched every classroom in every form of fashion.
Wow.
And it didn't click, but that's how it worked. Even from summer school. But no, I was a regular aide. I just was
You were
pushed.
not a regular aide.
I was pushed in the areas of the whole school to see how it runs and functions. And
obviously,
it took a lot. It took a lot, but I understood that was my season. So I had no issues of serving, because I understand if I serve God, that's how I stay blessed. And sometimes my blessings is just sheer favor and protection, which is insurmountable, because I've done some reckless stuff in my season, and He's still protected and covered me. So I was cool with that. But and the pay was nice, and I had benefits. So it was a lot of learning things. And now looking back, I can be like, okay, I understand, I get it. And now it's the next page. Where what am I supposed to be doing in this season, and all that stuff. But I get you. I feel you. we can stop for a break because we're 30 minutes in. But stay tuned for part 2 as we dive into accountability and the importance of living a purpose-driven life. All right. Alright guys, we're back in part 2, the final part of the importance of accountability. Part 1 was pretty good. We talked about a lot of things that circulate accountability. In the sphericals, I think I said, in the circular frame, if that's how I'm picturing it in my head. But you talked about accountability at work and in your role. But I guess we can dive into purpose and like accountability and how you, I guess, navigate those things in your everyday life.
Okay. I think it's just in my everyday life, I understand that I need to be held accountable, but I think first I need to be able to be vulnerable about my stuff in order for people to be able to hold me accountable to the things that I struggle with. So Anthony and I were in a small group at church. Small group, which is like, I guess another word for a Bible study, only it's more about relationship building than it is just about doing, scripture readings and all that type of stuff. Yeah. So, in our small group we've been in for several years, so it's people from the church. Yeah. We're around the same age. Some of us are married. Some of us have kids, and we kind of just talk about life and like what we're going through, which I think is very important to have people around you that have the same foundational beliefs about God and life in general.
That's the purpose of church. It's a communal sense.
Right. But to actually talk about the things that you're going through. Yeah. Because historically, I feel like in my time in church, you didn't ever talk about what was going on in your life. When you see him in church, how you doing? I'm good. How are you? Even after I just cussed my kid out in the car,
But that is the shade of tradition. Like that's the shade of it. Like I still see that this visibly this isn't lining up. So there has to be something more.
Right. But the only way to, I think, grow is in relationship. Yeah. I think that's why marriage is helpful. I think really the purpose of marriage is to self-reflect.
Yeah. It shows you how you, and that's why I say it to me. My relationship with my wife is the same with me and God. I'm the weaker vessel. I'm the emotional counterpart. He's the sound, loving, compassionate counterpart that's just there to, hey, you don't have to do that, to protect me from all the crazy stuff. And that is, I feel like you said, the importance of relationships, and that's what it should be in every ministry. There should be some aspect of vulnerability. Yeah. Some aspect.
And a place to be able to ask questions, because not all of us have a Christian background. Not all of us were raised in church, and many of us came from different church backgrounds, different denominations, and so I think we all have questions, and that's a place really for us to be able to ask the hard questions. Like maybe we're struggling with even believing that God exists this week because of the things that are going on. Like, why did this happen to me? Why would God allow these things to happen to me if he's a loving God? Like, those hard questions we're able to ask. But I think the relationship that I rely on most for accountability is with Anthony. Yeah. He's the person that I'm with every day that I feel most comfortable talking about any possible thing that I'm going through, anything that I have gone through in the past. Yeah. He's the person that I can go to. That I can go to and that I can trust, that's going to be honest with me, that's not going to just say, oh yes, because I'm your friend and you're always right. No. But he's gonna. Best friends are gonna be like, they're gonna tell you,
get your yes. Now my wife she don't play that at all.
And that I feel like is probably that's the area that I'm able to be held accountable in, truly. Because if I'm honest with myself, I'm not really that open with even my small group about the things that I'm going through. I'm not as open with them as I probably should be.
Yeah.
Because I think it's embarrassing sometimes to talk about the things that we're going through, the things that we're going through in our marriages, the things that we're going through with our children, the things that we're going through at work. And so I feel like my relationship with Anthony is where I can be held truly accountable. Yeah. But it requires him to be
the same,
honest with me, and to listen.
Yeah.
Like, we both have to really listen to each other to hear what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think I don't have an issue with being vulnerable with anybody, especially after the death of my mom. It's like I'm getting to the point where I really I'm not fazed about the not negative, but like opinions that could affect me, because I was a people pleaser, and now I'm getting to that point. I'm like, I'm seasonal walking, and I'm plain jumping. So if it's purposeful and it's planting seeds, so like, all right, that's how you feel, and it is what it is. But I don't have an issue with being vulnerable with anybody because of all that transpired, and I was able to like remove another scale visually and start seeing things for what they really are, and seeing the depth and the intricacies of a lot of stuff, and so it put a lot of stuff in perspective. And I think I'm vulnerable because my wife is guarded.
So you have to kind of offset that.
Yeah, so in her guardedness, and which I understand and respect, and she's made it this far in this chaotic world, so I applaud her for that, and it makes me want to be more protective because I understand. And so because of that guardedness and just that little aspect, it's made me be okay and being open and being honest, because honesty is what reaches people.
Yeah.
So if I can tell somebody, hey, I used to like play Power Hour at work in my season, knowing this is not what I'm supposed to do, but I did it because I had hurts and heartaches, and those were my vices, because my vice wasn't God. God was my vice when it was like, okay, God, you really need to make this happen. But like on the small stuff, those are my vices. And so I don't have a problem being vulnerable, because in talking about my vulnerability, it brings healing to me, and also it brings reconciliation to other people. So I have no issue with it. Yeah, still at the same time, certain stuff that me and my wife talk about is different. But when it comes down to like general stuff, sometimes I can honestly tell some of my friends who aren't married, or guys who I know, and that's the crazy thing. I'll be sitting cutting somebody's hair or talking to somebody, and God will start telling me what's going on with them specifically. And sometimes he gives me the voice to say it or the voice not to say it, but now he's telling me because he knows I'm going to go pray. So God started talking to me about my marriage, and they're like, man, that's crazy, that's exciting, you're doing all these wonderful things. And I'm like, no, those are pictures.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, but now sometimes I want to duke it out with my wife because it's that frustrating.
Marriage is hard.
Yeah, marriage is...
And people say that, and I never knew when people say, marriage is so hard. Like, it really is,
because it's a constant self-reflection.
Yes.
It's like, this is transpiring because of the nonsense that's in you.
There was this lady that did a study on self-reflection, like how people can most come to understand themselves. And her hypothesis, how she thought the study was going to go, she thought that people that spent, or her theory was that people that spent the most time alone doing self-reflection activities were the ones that would be most self-aware. But it was actually the opposite. It was the people that spend more time in community, because we lie to ourselves when we're alone.
Of course, yeah.
Confirmation bias is like a real thing. Like, we tell ourselves, oh no, the way that you said that was right.
You justify.
You justify your actions.
That's the rootness of sin.
Yeah.
Is justifying your wrongdoing, changing your view and not seeing God's view. And that's why the relationship with God is imperative. Because through him and the Holy Spirit and Jesus being the example, you're able to see, hey man, it's okay that you have these urges, because Christ was human too, and he had these urges. But he didn't walk the same path. This is the right way, that's the wrong way. So yeah, keep going.
It just requires community. Yeah, and I think a lot of people, they think they can deal with their own stuff. Yeah. And I don't think the church has historically been very good about allowing people to be open about what they're going through. Because just like, if you're struggling with something, you're not allowed to talk about it in church.
Yeah, I don't.
You gotta be perfect when you come up into church.
I don't understand how Catholicism is still like a big thing, and it's no shots against Catholicism, but it's like we've seen time after time in the past 20 years that popes are human.
Yeah, you've heard about the whole deal just coming back out.
Huh?
There's a whole new scandal that just came out.
See what I'm saying?
Same scandal.
See what I'm saying? So it's always these scandals of molestation and corrupt.
Because it's a culture of secrecy. Yeah. No one can talk to each other about what they're going through.
That's not the beauty of Christ's ministry.
No.
It's not. His ministry was in a interpersonal relationship.
Yeah. But if these men in the church are not able to go to anyone and talk about what they're going through,
and that's not what God has designed.
Yeah.
It's not. It's not, because he created Eve for Adam.
We are meant to be in relationships.
We were meant to be in relationships, and people miss in Genesis the scope of Eden. They just look at it as God gave them everything they could ever want. But what people miss, and what I always try to emphasize, is that Adam was in the sheer presence of God, meaning he was directly tied to him in relationship. So anything and everything he needed, he had direct access. But when he cultivated the rebellious mindset that was against God, God had to cut them off. And so God has been on this big redemptive plan. Do you watch the Bible Project on YouTube?
I do, yes.
That they always talk about that. God is in this. He's created this redemptive plan through Israel, and now it's been to everybody else that's not Jewish, to cultivate a personal and intimate relationship with him.
Well, what I think is interesting is that before Eve was created, Adam, like you were saying, he had everything he could have ever wanted. He had God. But God saw that it wasn't.
He was lonely.
So he needed to create another person to have this relationship with. Which I think right there,
ties into accountability.
It's the whole, it's the whole point of it.
Yeah.
It's proof of it. There in the very beginning.
Yeah, that's what it is. I mean, that's the whole. It's still recording. Okay, good. That's the whole scope of. I should say we should scoot it closer so you can see us, but it's fine. That's the whole scope of just being in a relationship with God. And that's what the church is supposed to mirror. But through traditions and principles and politics, it's like, this is the example. And of course, when nobody's watching, from the leaders to the ushers, you're doing whatever you want. And that's why people aren't coming to Christ.
Yeah, and I don't think it's that tradition itself is a bad thing. But when you start to idolize the traditions and you make them God's law, you make them God's word, that's where you get into trouble.
That's where you get in trouble. And so I feel like, how can I go to another human being and trust everything he's telling me like it's divine counsel, when I know he's just as human as me? He has his shortcomings as me, and that's what I was saying about Catholicism. And I don't never talk politics or theories or whitewash, blackwash, purple wash, all that stuff. I just talk truth and say, if you really just sit down, you'll understand that Christ it's sensible, meaning it makes perfect sense, and it's realistic. It's nothing extravagant. And I feel like the extravagantness is was like idolized, and people have taken that fault and said, okay, so everybody that talks Bible, everybody that says they're a believer, this is the example of them, so I can't trust that. And that's not the truth. So I feel like you gotta be honest. That's what accountability is. It's honesty. Sheer honesty. Because if you're honest, then you can start peeling back the layers and really get to the root cause. But we got off topic, but it was important. What do you think your purpose is? I ask everybody this.
Yeah.
So
I think everyone's purpose is the same, which is to just love others.
Yeah.
Ultimately. Now, the way in which I'm supposed to love others right now, I think it's through loving people that don't feel loved, loving people that feel like they're at their worst, and that they're defined by their worst moment. Just in my job, so like people that have been accused of doing... I already know what you're talking about, but... But people that have been accused of doing horrible things, and understanding that they are not their worst day, that they are more than their worst mistake. In the case where they
But you feel like this is your season to exhibit that unconditional love?
I do. And to hear people out and to just listen to their stories and to show them that I care about them, to visit them when they're in jail.
Help them take the steps.
Yeah.
To rehabilitation.
Right. And to just show them that there is someone out here that cares about you.
And why do you feel like love is your purpose? What makes you adamant about that? Is it because of your previous chapters that's led to this? What is it?
I just think that that's what Christ did. Period. And that's all he did was love on people. Constantly. That's what he did. He said, love God and love others. That's the greatest commandment. So I feel like I can't go wrong when I'm doing that.
When you're loving people.
No, you can't. You can't go wrong when you're doing that.
Yeah, people like to talk about agape love, but they don't really understand what it entails.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is God's love, and I will love you like God. Like, God gets frustrated too. That's why it says he gets frustrated.
Yeah.
But his frustration is out of disappointment. Like, parent, like my daughter. If I tell her, don't grab those magnets off the refrigerator and put them in your mouth, and she knows what I'm saying, and she does it anyway, I'm disappointed because she knows better. So I think that's God's way of being frustrated with us. But the love never changes. I won't stop loving my daughter because
she took the magnets
because she put them in her mouth after I told her 100 times.
Yeah.
That's not gonna make me stop loving her. That's just gonna make me want to pull out with her potential. My younger brother, same thing. He's 15. And I stay on him about not being messy. But he's my brother, so I don't lord over him or try to be his dad. His dad is still alive, and that's his dad's job. But I'm his brother, and I tell him, I say, I got to hold you accountable because I know your potential. And if I don't hold you accountable, if I don't be honest with you, that's our definition for the day. If I don't be honest with you, I'm letting you freely rob yourself of what you're potentially destined to be. And I can't sit here and let you rob yourself. So I'm going to check you in honesty, in action, and get on you about being lazy. So get your butt up off the couch and clean up.
Yeah.
So, okay. How are you purposeful in your everyday life? You kind of said that already with your job. Do you want to tack anything else onto that?
I just think I try to in the morning think about who I'm going to interact with, who I've at least planned to interact with that day, and ask myself what does love require of me today with that person? What does that person require of me today? How can I show them that they are cared for, that they're important?
That's the ministry of Christ, is servitude. And it's crazy that you're saying these things because I always noted and jotted, but to hear you say this is what you wake up and put your mind set on, and then you start to interact and act. That's ultimately what we're supposed to do. It's just serve others and say, I can serve you and be genuine with you and encourage you and help you. Mm-hmm. And you can do the same for me because of our ultimate example, which is Christ. I'm reading this book that my mom read. I'm finally diving into my mom's library. She was a preacher, so she had a long library of like lexicons and all these books. And so every so often I'll pick up a book. My goal before December is to complete 3 books. One book, Sit, Walk, Stand by Watchman Nee. He's like a Chinese scholar in the 20th century, like early 1900s. I feel like
I've heard of that book.
That reformed. He really like helped shape the mindset and culture over there in China. Of course, they still deal with their other forces. But Watchman Nee, he has 2 books I want to read. Sit, Walk, Stand, that talks about the believer's life coming out of Ephesians. And the body of Christ. It's coming out of Romans, I think. I want to finish those 2 books, and it's another book, the Logic of Hell, or something like that, and its damnation. So those are 3 books I'm trying to finish. But what I was saying is that this one book that my mom has, it talks about Revelations, because that's the book no one wants to talk about.
Unless you're in Pentecostal church.
Unless you're really. That's if you're in John MacArthur's church, you have to talk about it. You have to, but it's the truth. So it breaks it down, and it has pictures and all this stuff to break down every chapter and every revelation and do the correlation. And ultimately, if you understand the picture and see it in detail, it's like jumping out of a plane. If you see the ground in detail, it'll make you cherish, the beauty of it, even though it's a frightening thing.
Yeah.
And so it has this one picture, and it says the Old Testament and the prophets were pointing, and they were preaching to Christ, the cross, and the New Testament prophets, and where we're at now, the new ramp or the New Covenant, the post-Christ sect and centuries or whatever they call it, we're pointing back to Christ.
Yeah.
So we're saying we're able to do these things because of what he did for us and the example he set. And it's not me, it's that. So I'm able to serve in whatever form or fashion and be purposeful because of the example that Christ set. So that's crazy, and it's nice to hear that. It's good you said that. But last thing, and we can wrap this thing up. It's a good podcast. What seeds are you planting that will be effective? That and then you can talk about your future plans and goals, because I want to hear about them. But what seeds do you think that you're planting that'll eventually become effective?
I think right now in this season, in the work that I do, a lot of the cases that I work on are appointed cases. So it's like a public defender. So the stigma surrounding public defenders.
Yeah, that's it. They don't care.
They don't care. I got a public defender. I need a free world lawyer. I need a real lawyer. Once I get a real lawyer, then I can fight my case. And so right now, I think the seeds that I'm trying to plant are that I'm not that kind of public defender. And that there are other people out here that really do this work because they care about the people and they really want to help people. So I think right now just trying to change the stigma surrounding public defenders and the representation that people get when they can't afford an attorney.
Yeah.
That's very specific, I think, to the season of my life.
Yeah.
I probably won't say that same thing in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, I don't know.
So, goals, like, what are your goals and future plans? Like, what are some things that you're brainstorming or you felt that you want to move towards?
Right now, because this is so new.
Yeah, you don't have to give a timetable.
I'm just trying to grow in my practice, try to really understand all aspects of criminal law, help as many people as I possibly can.
You think you're going to teach other people to operate in the same role and fashion like you are now?
That wouldn't be something that I would desire to do. I mean, if God puts it on my heart to do it, then I probably will do it. I mean, I will have to do it. But
it'll be best that you do it. You don't have to. He doesn't force it.
I have to do it. If God tells me to do something, I'm going to do it. That wouldn't be an idea that I would create. I think that's definitely possible. In my last role at the firm, I was in a teaching role. Yeah. So that kind of grew into a teaching role, so I wouldn't be surprised if this did grow into a teaching role. Yeah. That wouldn't be my personal goal, but that may be a goal that gets
God
placed
is already. Because I don't want to teach either. I don't want to be in front. I didn't want to do morning chants and all those things, run a musical, sit and listen to people's problems, clean up cafeteria tables, I don't want to do those things, but God had purposed it for me, and he told me, he said, I can't give you a school if you don't understand how school runs.
That's very true.
But you just gave me a book, but you don't read. No. You don't read. Why they give you a book and you don't read? You're hands-on. This is hands-on. And the phone was from me. Let me answer that. But, do you have, I guess, personal goals or anything that you aspiring to do?
I'm just trying to be the best wife and mother that I can be every day, which is
challenging.
Super difficult.
Yeah, it's challenging because every day is different. I feel like if it wasn't for my wife, in a sense, keeping me in check, I'd be a terrible husband.
I feel like I'm a terrible person all the time. And I mean, just in the accountability sense, it's like you see, just whenever you get into your relationship with God, I thought I was a good person until I realized I'm not such a great person.
You jacked up.
Yeah. And the same thing in marriage.
Yeah.
And in having a child, you think you're great, and then you're like, oh wait, I'm not great. So every day, yeah. Every day I'm like, okay, I suck.
Yeah.
Let me fix that.
Yeah. And it's not to the point where I'm just a Debbie Downer.
Oh yeah.
But it's just like, man, what was I thinking? Like I thought.
And then I was so blind to who I thought I was. Yeah. Like I really did not even know myself.
Yep. That's one thing my wife told me. She said, stop trying to be something you're not. Stop pretending. This isn't you. And I hated it. I was like, this is me. You don't know me. And when I got by myself, I was like, damn.
Yeah.
Dang it. I don't want to curse on this podcast.
I know. I was going to ask you if that's allowed.
I mean.
I didn't curse though.
But, I mean, you talk about relationships all the time. Like, you got to be honest. That's the only way it works. It's the only way it works. When it's honest, of course, you still have your challenges and the things you have to face together individually. But honesty makes it like 10 times better.
Yeah. Well, and honesty with yourself first.
Yeah.
Because we will lie to ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably what ultimately I would like to do, is just grow into a person that is not faking even to myself, let alone to other people, because
I feel like old people haven't mastered. Some old people haven't mastered because they just get to a point, they just, hey, man, it is what it is. I'm not being a butt. But
I know. I respect that so much.
I'm just going to tell you, like, my grandmother is like that. She's just like, hey, if the tree falls, the tree falls. I'm not going to sit here and code it. It is what it is.
And it's too bad we don't have that mentality
early on. So that's pretty neat that you said that. I think I'm going to try to work at that as well. Because I always take things from other people, and I like that. I'm starting to grow where I like to sit down and pick people's brain to see how they function and orchestrate. Just because I want to be the person to understand and empathize. I think that's how you say it. And not just be so, they're like this because of that. I know nothing. I actually want to read the book and forget about the covers.
Yeah.
It's always interesting. But you want to give you shout outs if you have shout outs? You have an Instagram, so I'm going to tag your Instagram if you want followers. And
sure. I'm at She's a Lawyer.
That's a Lawyer? That's your Instagram?
Yeah.
Oh, it's
and
not.
I have the other one.
Oh,
that's my personal one. Okay. And then my business one where I post about, I do like little legal advice things.
Oh, yeah?
And yeah, that's my Morgan Rogers Law.
Okay.
Yeah.
You probably gonna have to text that to me. But yeah, guys, this was another great episode. Thanks for tuning in. Also, if you know people who want to sponsor the podcast and the movement, let me know. You can email me at allnoutsmatter@gmail.com. Like I said, we have the website up. It's running. We're starting to build, and I'm excited about it. I did not get it on my camera, but it's cool. Looks nice for visual effects. Thank you, Morgan. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
This was really, really fun.
Yeah.
And I had to sit down again in 6 months to see what has changed. But yeah, guys, stay tuned for the next episode. This season 2. We're off to a great, great start. Remember, follow me on Facebook, Byron Hooker. Follow me on Instagram, Joe's Interlude. I'll work on getting an All Nats Matter Instagram page. I didn't want to, but I think I'm gonna have to. So yeah, follow me, guys, on my Instagram to keep up with my content. If you have ideas or topics, or you just want to email somebody, anonymously email me. So here to talk and listen. All right, be blessed.
The podcast you just heard was published with Anchor. Got something you want to say to the creator of this show? Send them a voice message using the Anchor app, free for iOS and Android.